We're going to begin learning about algebraic equations soon. So there's a couple of things that we need to remember. Two things that are particularly important and can get examined independently are additive and multiplicative inverses. So before we go and do that, let's have a look at this. I've got a couple of numbers, and these ones are already fractions, okay? So forget about this column for now over here. But the first few numbers here, I want to write them as a fraction. How can I write these numbers as a fraction? So we know that any whole number divided by 1 is that same number. For example, if I had 4 sweets to divide between one person, that one person would get all 4 sweets. So 4 divided by 1 would be 4. So using that concept, we can write a fraction for 4 as 4 over 1. So in this example, the first one is 2. So I can write 2 as 2 over 1. I can write 4 as 4 over 1. I can write 3 as 3 over 1. I can write -1 as -1 over 1. I can write -3 as -3 over 1, and -10 as -10 over 1. So this was just a concept about writing a number as a fraction. We can write any number as a fraction by just putting it over 1. Now let's go ahead and look at what we're actually focusing on today, an additive inverse. The concept of an additive inverse is a number, for example, the number 2. Alright, you want to take 2 and you want to add it to another number, and that answer needs to equal to 0. So now the question becomes, this number here is the additive inverse, right? That you add. This is the additive inverse. 2 plus what is going to give me 0? Well, 2 plus 0 doesn't give me 0. 2 plus 2 gives me 4. So 2 plus what is going to give me 0? Well, the answer is 2 plus -2. Whatever that number is, just change the sign of that number and add it back to it, and you'll get a 0. So that's why we say that for the additive inverse, we just change the sign, a positive to a negative, or if it's negative, then it becomes a positive. Alright, now let's see how that affects us. So in the first one, we got a number and we want the additive inverse. So the number 2, the additive inverse is going to be, -2. Or if you're looking at a fraction, -2 over 1. But if there's no fraction, it's unnecessary. I'm just going to go ahead and just show you now. So 4, that'll become -4. And 3, that'll become -3. I'm just writing the same number with a different sign. -1, that'll be a +1. -3, +3. -10, +10. If it's a fraction, it doesn't make a difference. A half will be a -half. The additive inverse of a half is a -half. The additive inverse of 2 over 5 is -2 over 5. The additive inverse of 3 over 7 is -3 over 7. The additive inverse of 8 over 4 is -8 over 4. The additive inverse of 6 over 5 is -6 over 5. So it's that straightforward. The additive inverse of 3 over 2 is -3 over 2. The additive inverse of -3 over 4 is +3 over 4. Then you get +5 over 6, and lastly +4 over 7. That's straightforward. Now let's look at a multiplicative inverse. With a multiplicative inverse, the concept is slightly different. You want to take a number, for example 2 over 3, and you're going to multiply it by something to give you a 1. Now this number that you multiply it by is called your multiplicative inverse. Now 2 over 3 times what is going to give you 1? Well, the way we do it is we flip the fraction. And if you take 2 over 3 times 3 over 2, the 3's and the 2's cancel, and you're just left with 1. So for this, all we do is we flip the fraction and don't change the sign. So 2 over 3 can become a 3 over 2. So let's go ahead and try to this. 2. So now 2 is not a fraction, but we need to flip the fraction. So that is why I showed you how to write it as a fraction. So the multiplicative inverse of 2 is 1 over 2. The multiplicative inverse of 4 is 1 over 4. The multiplicative inverse of 3, well, you write it as a fraction as 3 over 1 and then flip it, and then the 1 goes on top, so it becomes 1 over 3. All we're doing is we're flipping these fractions over here, and then we're getting those answers on the right. So negative 1 over 1, well, that's just gonna be that. The next one is gonna be negative 1 over 3, and last on this one here is gonna be negative 1 over 10. Now let's continue. A half, the multiplicative inverse of a half is 2 over 1, which is just 2. Multiplicative inverse of 2 over 5 is 5 over 2. 3 over 7, 7 over 3. 4 over 8. 5 over 6. 2 over 3. Negative 4 over 3. Negative 6 over 5, and negative 7 over 4. So we've noticed that the sign doesn't change when doing multiplicative inverse, only the fraction flips, and with additive inverse only the sign changes.